Welcome to I Love My HBCU ? The podcast where we express our undeniable love for HBCUs, but where we are also not afraid to address a few tough questions. So, sit back, learn a little, love a lot, and rep your HBCU.
Are you a Saratoga person or like a Voss sparkling person? What do you like?
What I love is JP and I were in conversation and the recording has started and he's asking me about sparkling water and that's how we're going to begin this.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm into it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Guys, it's another episode and it is another reason to love your HBCU. But I'm going to say this.
Mm-hmm.
When JP sent us, we get these requests for amazing human beings like JP to join us. And I'm just going to be bluntly honest. We make assumptions of the humans every single time we get them.
Okay.
But from the moment that JP joined us on this conversation, you have been an absolute delight. Welcome, JP.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate that. I need you to say that again in front of my wife. I'm going to make sure she hears that part of our conversation for sure. I try to be delightful, you know.
No, you have
I don't know
been.
what assumptions you have, but I want to beat them if they're not great.
I will share the assumptions with you the second we hit end on the recording because I don't want people coming for me. I do not want people coming for me.
Okay. All right.
JP, you are an amazing alum by way of Lincoln University, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You are wearing one of their colors or their color, right?
Yeah, that's right. Orange and blue.
Orange and blue. Morgan State University, Virginia State University, Lincoln University, Pennsylvania, and I'm sure like at least 10 other HBCUs have orange and blue as their colors.
Correct.
For those who don't know you though, what is the 35-second bit on who the amazing John J.P. Petty III is?
Oh, thank you so much. Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. I am John Petty III, more affectionately referred to as JP, and I'm a Southwest Philadelphia native. I graduated from Lincoln University in 2009. I'm currently a marketer. I've built a career in advertising and marketing. Hopefully, architect to some of your favorite brand experiences or stories. And I think what's most important is my purpose is to serve. You know, I'm the oldest of four, and so I've been kind of groomed that way. And I currently serve on the Lincoln University Board of Trustees. And so I believe in, getting on and putting on, giving back, making sure that I achieve honorably, and then making sure I hold the door open for forthcoming generations,
Quite disgracefully, I have not visited Lincoln University of Pennsylvania's campus. JP, I started with quite disgracefully. That's how I started. So cut me some slack. Yes. For those of us who haven't been, what is so amazing about Lincoln University?
Oh, great question. How much time do we have?
We have time.
So Lincoln University is the blueprint. You might not have stepped foot onto our yard, but whatever yard you've frequented or visited or graduated from, I do believe you're a Bison, and like those universities don't exist without Lincoln University's efforts in the mid 1800s. And so I would say what's special about Lincoln is all of the history that you feel when you do step foot on the yard and the influence that comes from that university. It is about an hour south of Philadelphia. It sits in Oxford Township, Pennsylvania, and it is, a beauty amongst like mushrooms and Amish culture. It is a getaway, a legitimate getaway. And what's beautiful about the yard is it's a tight-knit family, like most HBCUs, but with a student population of about 1,600, you get to know not just the yard and the dynamic, but each other really intimately. And, it's a very personal campus, and we love that about it. With a deep history, I mean, our products are amazing. We get to claim like Philadelphia's first female mayor, Sherelle Parker, Langston Hughes, Thurgood Marshall, first president of Ghana, first president of Nigeria. Just the list goes on and on. And so, like, without us, I mean, with all due respect to our neighbors in Cheyney University, Lincoln University, 1854, Ashburn Institute is, your podcast, I would argue, HBCU culture as we understand it today has a hard time getting to where it is without us.
You listen, I've got nothing to say to that, literally. Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
This is a first. We've never had, to my knowledge, had a member of a board of regents, a member of a board of trustees join us for a conversation. So A, it's a first, B, it feels really special, which makes me ask a question that I would kick myself if I did not ask this question. You
Okay.
talked about Lincoln University and its history. And I'm going to ask you to explain, especially for students who are listening, what the role of a board of trustee is, because most people don't really know.
Okay.
But before you school us on what your role is as a member of a board of trustees, what's the future for Lincoln? And the reason why I want to know that, you gave us the history, and we all know that we are nothing without our history. But we also know we can't rest on our history.
That's right.
I look at our lists, and pardon me for a second, but I look at our lists of, and the reason why I'm asking you to pardon me is I don't know if I believe in all these rankings, because I think most of the rankings, are subjective depending on the organization that's putting the list together. So you've got your US News and World Report, you've got your Brookings Institute, you've got your Bloomberg, you've got several entities that will rank our different institutions. I don't often see Lincoln in the top 10 of some of the rankings. And it's why I'm asking you to pardon me, because that's not a dig. That's me simply asking, when you look at the history that Lincoln has, where would you, as a member of the Board of Trustees specifically, tell us that the future of Lincoln is going? Where is Lincoln going?
Okay, so that's a really good question. I referred to us, as the blueprint more colloquially earlier at the top of this one, because I think that moniker is as much about, intentional design as it is about the chronology of Lincoln. So yeah, we spend a lot of time on the history because we're really proud of that, but we are also hyper-focused on the future as just a nation's first degree granting HBCU. I think we pride ourselves on the framework that we've established and refined over time, which is a rigorous liberal arts education. We put a lot of focus on leadership formation, even, as proven by some of the names that I mentioned earlier. Intellectual independence is really important for us. And then most importantly, a commitment to producing graduates who shape society in different ways and in different realms. I think where Lincoln has been through a ton, like some of all of our favorite universities and HBCUs specifically, but we need to get back to the power of storytelling around some of our amazing alum. And I don't mean to do this or toot my own horn here, Doc, but I built a career in advertising. I at my former agency, Wieden & Kennedy, is a global advertising agency. Around 2021, or in 2020, I was responsible for a massive global campaign for one of your favorite quick serve restaurants. In 2021, I was named Creative of the Year by Adage, trade publication. I then was promoted to lead that global advertising agency and move out to Portland, and I was 33 years old. That agency was founded in 1982. That was 5 years before I was, or 5 years before I was born. And I was the first Black and youngest executive creative director that agency ever had. And so that those stories aren't really told by Lincoln University. And so I think our future says we point to our proof points, our product, that are people like myself, alum like myself, who are shaping society and leadership in that way. Now, if this was a few generations back, they would treat me the way they treat Langston Hughes. But we've gotten away from that dynamic storytelling. We have 2 young alum right now who are coming out of the writer's room for Netflix's Different World reboot. Like, that is something that we are super proud of.
Yes.
We have actors and actresses and lawyers who are shaping policy around artificial intelligence that we're all, society at large, are going to benefit from. I just think that our community, our culture, we're not platforming these proof points in a way. We haven't been doing an amazing job at that. You can look forward to that in the future, and we use our people as proof points of our rigorous liberal arts education. Like we care about that. We want our students, young high schoolers, 17, 18-year-olds, to come in and look at the world as their oyster, use critical thinking to create their own paths, and help us to tell brand new stories. I think the way to get to that is by platforming some of the proof points that we've produced.
I'm smiling. I mean, I like to smile, but I am smiling.
You have a beautiful one. It lights up a room.
I'll take that. Thank you so much. But I'm smiling at your response. I write a lot when people are talking to me, and you describe Lincoln University of Pennsylvania as a rigorous liberal arts institution. And you doubled down on that later on in your comments.
That's right.
And I must ask you then how you feel. Number one, I love the liberal arts. Tosin, don't give your opinion. This is about JP, not about you.
What's your opinion, Dr. Tosin? Please. Okay.
Not at all. Not at all. No. So we are going through, I'm also an academic, and we are going through, anyone actually who looks up and pays a little bit of attention to what 47 and his band of players are doing with the Department of Education and just some of these policies that they're putting out, it would lead most of us to believe that there seems to be a target on liberal arts majors, period. Especially when they make a through line between why would you spend $80,000? I'm just throwing a number out there, $80,000 to go to school and be a music major. Just gonna, again, guys, my music majors that are out there, nothing against you, I love you. But why would you spend $80,000 to be a music major when the statistics tell us that the likelihood of you being able to make a salary once you graduate in order to pay the accrued loans back is very slim? Mm-hmm. As someone yourself who feels rooted in the value of a liberal arts education, what do you say to that? And what do you say to those especially who that's their passion, that's still what they want to do, so they're still going to pick those as their majors? What do you say to them?
I would say, first of all, it's an amazing question, and I love the example. When I went into Lincoln University, I was really excited about music. I graduated with a major in business administration at the time, minor in computer science. And, I think what I would say is what society is in need of right now, more than anything else, is critical thinking, and
I agree.
We need to stay light on our feet, for lack of a better term. And with that, I think that rigorous liberal arts education bit that I've now tripled down on is our call to encourage students to think critically through whatever curriculum they sign up for. And the reason that I'm harping on this is because music, for example, This industry has changed 100 times in the last 30 days.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
so when you walk in there, it's less about what's happening right now as you're learning as a student, you're a freshman through senior year, and what we could even teach you. What Lincoln University is ultimately wanting to teach its students is you come in, you understand the lay of the land in your curriculum, and then you push on that lay of the land. You use the tools at your disposal to show us what the future is supposed to be. So when I say leadership formation, that's what I mean. We're not asking you to leave this campus at 1570 Baltimore Pike and go out and follow all of the rules. We're asking you to understand those rules so when you leave here, you can rewrite them, or else they'll be rewritten for you. And so that's why I would say we're focused on that. We're hyper focused on that because we are not fortune tellers. We can't tell you what the next year or 6 years or 12 years or 24 have in store for us as professionals and as academic scholars. But what we can absolutely promise you is there will be a place for you in the world if you are using all of the tools that we not only provide or offer, but help you uncover and identify yourself.
There will be a place for you in the world if you tap into your critical thinking skills. I love
Absolutely.
it. I love it. That's what I wrote down. I really, I think in another world, I
Yeah.
think I'm a therapist in another world because I'm always writing down notes when people are talking so I never forget what they say because people drop gems. You've dropped so many of them already, and I selfishly want to make sure that I don't forget them.
No,
Um,
amazing job. Thank you.
I thank you. I almost ran away from this. What does a trustee do? Because I know even when I was in school, so let me not talk about the young ones now. When I was in school, I didn't know what a trustee did. So before I treat you to our rapid fire segment, what does a trustee do?
I have no idea. No, in all I remember being on the yard. I remember being on the yard when I was a student at Lincoln University and seeing, these distinguished ladies and gentlemen like going in and out of our boardroom, and you wouldn't see them on the yard too often. But when it mattered for those bigger moments, I definitely remember seeing them around, and they just felt important, And it was
Mm.
never a goal of mine to be a university trustee, but God's plan. Uh, Here's what I'll say: the board of trustees is typically responsible for the governance of the university, and by that, I want to make a clear distinction. Not on the hook for the operations of the university. We leave that to the president and his or her staff, faculty, administration. They run the university, and we work in service. We all work in service of the student body, but our job is to make sure that the university is best positioned for the present and the future. And so our what we're asked to bring to the table, in addition to our gold or our treasure, is our time and our talent. So our expertise, the access to our networks, our perspectives, offering like outside perspectives to help kind of shape how we might see something. We offer our administration, our president, Dr. Brenda Allen, a ton of perspective, and she always takes very careful and responsible note of all of those. And then we watch those perspectives kind of trickle down into how the university operates from day to day. And we take a lot of pleasure in that, especially at Lincoln, where as I serve as a university trustee, we also are a part of a Commonwealth. We have Commonwealth trustee members as well, in addition to alumni trustee. We all are deeply invested in the future and of the school, but also the very dynamic student body that we have. So our job is to govern and advise, not operate. It's really important.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so you know us well, so it's about time for the rapid fire.
Let's do
I'm
it.
going to ask you as many questions as possible. Give me short answers because I want
Yeah,
to ask you
don't worry.
all of the rapid fire questions, okay? All
Yep,
right, time's on the clock, 67 seconds.
yep.
Describe your HBCU experience in one word.
Oh man, yes, definitely transformational.
Transformational. If your time in college was a song, what song would it be?
Never would have made it.
Ooh, I want the story behind that.
Okay.
What would you have wanted to tell your college roommate but didn't?
Um,
I love the fact that he laughed at that.
yo, man, oh man, marry her now. You might as well marry her now.
Okay, you got stories to all of these responses that you're giving. On a scale of 1 through 10, how good of a student were you?
Ugh, depends on when. Let's go with 8. I'll go with
8,
8.
okay. Shout out your favorite person. Can't be you, but shout out your favorite person, sorry, at Lincoln, either professor, teacher, administrator, what do they do?
My favorite person at Lincoln right now,
Right
or
now or before? Let's
my
go
favorite
with
person.
before. Let's go with before.
Okay,
Let's go while you were a student.
okay. My favorite person while I was a student was Dr. Bynum, Dr. William Bynum. He was amazing. 10 out of 10.
What did the person teach?
He was actually a dean of ours, and
Okay.
I loved his presence. He was a huge advocate of mine, and personally helped guide, my tenure at Lincoln University, which was, and I feel it's one of those moments where you're giving an acceptance speech. You're definitely going to forget somebody. Somebody's going to be pissed about not being mentioned, but I loved what the effect and influence Dr. Bynum had on my career at Lincoln University. He was amazing.
You took 2 minutes for the rapid 67, by the way, JP, but that's
Sorry,
okay.
sorry, I'm sorry. We break rules over here.
But
Sorry.
I have to ask you one more question for kicks and
But
giggles. Jay-Z or Kanye West?
Jay-Z or Kanye West?
Hmm.
Jay-Z all day long,
Why?
all day, every day. I
Why?
mean, mm, more than a hustler, he's a definition of it.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. Okay. I'll
you
take
know?
that. I'm indifferent to both. So hey,
Really,
I
really,
sure
really,
am.
really. Okay,
I sure
I had
am.
questions too,
Wait,
but yeah.
you're the culture guy though.
Okay,
So
okay,
I'm bringing both of them back up in a hot second.
okay,
But I
let's do
always love asking people their college selection journey. You're from Philadelphia.
it. Mhm.
You had options of schools to go to. You ended up at Lincoln University of Pennsylvania. Give me your college selection journey. Why them as opposed to Cheney, as opposed to, I mean, Maryland is literally
Love Maryland.
less. There we go. So you've got Morgan, you've got Bowie, you've got Cop. Why Lincoln University of Pennsylvania for
Okay.
your college selection? Tell us
Okay,
that
so,
story.
so when I was in 11th grade, I went on a college tour, an HBCU tour, and I went down to Florida A&M, and we
Mm.
went right around homecoming, and it was like walking into Wakanda, and you couldn't tell me after those few days, maybe 2 or 3, that I wasn't going to be a Rattler. I was 100% in, all the way in. And they accepted me, but I'm a Pennsylvania resident, so it would make me an out-of-state student. And at that time, it was really expensive. Florida A&M was really expensive. They gave me a little bit of money, and I was a scholar graduating from out of high school, and my bags were packed. I was ready to go to Tallahassee for sure. And then I went to a Lincoln University open house,
Hmm.
and I went kind of against my will. I didn't sign up for it. I wasn't super familiar with the university, and I didn't do my Googles around Lincoln University. But a few of my high school buddies wanted to go, and my dad was going to be the chaperone, and I was just like, I mean, yeah, sure, I guess. I went down there, and the yard was terrible. I mean, it was we were under the leadership of, at the time, of Dr. Ivory Nelson, and the campus was being completely rebuilt, but it was like that awkward, renovation stage. You know that stage where it's nothing but mud and dirt everywhere, and the lights ain't really working, and where are the plots? This doesn't feel like Wakanda. I applied in real time in like the gym or something, and
Wow.
filled it out because my friends were, and almost it felt like by the time I got back home, Lincoln University had sent an offer. It was a full scholarship, and the decision was made for me. My
Absolutely.
mother was like, she didn't tell, at by the time I was 17 years old, she had done her job. She had laid out all of my morality, and then, you know, weren't too many decisions that I wasn't making autonomously. And so, like, except for this one. When it came, she read that letter and she was like, "Well, congratulations. I know you want to go to Florida A&M, but you are going to Lincoln University." And I was like, "Oh, this is the worst day of my life. I hated the yard, and it was like it messed up my kicks. Uh, it stinks, ma. Like, did you see those dorms? I don't think you were paying attention to those dorms." I remember being really pissed about it.
Yeah.
But then, my friends also got accepted, and they were excited about it. And, over time, social pressure just generates excitement inside of you. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm moving out. I'm spreading my wings.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to spread my wings. I'm sure there was like some selfish motivation in there from my mom too. Tallahassee isn't as close as Lincoln University.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that is I don't ask the same questions of every guest that comes on because the guest truly is the interviewer. They don't really know it, but it's what they say that leads the questions.
Mm,
But that's one question I always ask. And I never know what you're going to say.
mm.
I appreciate how honest your response was. I wasn't expecting it to be, I actually didn't like it and I didn't really want to go. That's not what we get.
It was not a vibe. No.
We
No, I
don't
mean,
get that. We don't get that.
absolutely not. In 2005, I put in Florida A&M next to Lincoln University for me. No competition.
No competition, no competition. And
No.
here he sits now as a graduate of Lincoln University, Pennsylvania, and a member of the Board of Trustees. Like I don't think you can't make up that story, starting from somebody who never actually wanted to go there.
Yeah, it's
In the
crazy.
rapid fire, you said you never would have made it is your song, and I want to hear the story behind that.
Oh man. Yeah, I said transformational, and I meant that. I mean, listen, I I'm from Southwest Philadelphia. The friends that I grew up with, it's proper inner city neighborhood, and it comes along with all of the things that come to mind when I say that out loud. Uh, Lincoln provided an accessible getaway. I was able to stay connected, to where I grew up, and that was really important for me. But LU was also like a really, really nice escape for me as well. Like it allowed me to step away, not too far away. I could still reach back, but also focus too, and build out a network that I place so much value on today.
Mm,
My
mm.
best friend, I don't. My wife didn't attend Lincoln University, but if not for Lincoln, I would not have met her, or at least not in this version of the story anyway. I have business partners that I met at Lincoln University, life partners that I met at Lincoln University. That roommate that you asked me about, he's getting married this year, and he's getting married to the girl that he fell in love with at Lincoln University. Might as well marry her now, So like, for me, I just
Mm.
think this version of my life, which I place so much value on and I appreciate so much, it just doesn't actualize without Lincoln University. And so in my story, I'm giving it a ton of credit.
But the credit that I hear you giving it does not sound blown out of proportion. It sounds grounded. And I appreciate how grounded it sounds. I
Mhm.
also hope that whoever sees this episode, especially the students, when they see this episode, I
Mm.
want you to, and I'm speaking to the students right now in this moment, go back to about minute 4 when JP talks about if this were back then, they would be celebrating him as Langston Hughes,
It would.
and the need for proper storytelling that doesn't occur as much as one would like, especially for I call you the everyday HBCU alum. And the only reason why I call you the everyday HBCU alum is this. If
Mhm.
you were to ask most of us who our HBCU alums are, you're going to hear Taraji P. Henson.
Yes,
You're
you are.
going to hear, I see their faces in my head. Their name's Terrence J, I believe. There we
That's correct.
go.
Yeah.
You're going to hear those names. You're going to hear the, in quotes, celebrities
Mhm.
who they want to tell you we are all the same, but we're not.
Mm.
We're not. But I believe that learning a JP's story is actually more relatable to our students today, because whether or not they ever meet you,
Mhm.
there is a groundedness that comes with the way you have just told your story that the students can reach, I hate
Uh,
to say this, a little bit better than the celebrities that we're going to see over and over and over again, but are
so
not quite as reachable. You are Mr. Culture.
I love
At
that.
least
Thank you.
that's what I'm calling you.
Got
Um, so, Mr. Culture, I want you to talk about 14th and Market. I
Gotcha.
want you to talk about get on, put on. We saw that all over your page. We had assumptions of what that means. We want to hear it from you. What does that mean? I also, of course, want you to talk about the current rebranding of Kanye Ye West.
Mhm.
So I'm going to remind you of all these things I want you to talk about. But
Yeah, let's do
start
it.
with 14th and Market. Tell us
14th and
about 14th and Market.
Yeah, I love 14th and Market. Yeah, I did mention that my career was built in advertising. I worked at a few independent shops, and by shops I mean advertising agencies. My first was one called Translation, which was founded by a former music industry exec. His name is Steve Stout. Him and Jay Z actually founded Translation early 2000s, before I had enrolled at Lincoln University, and I joined there in 2013. And so I spent about 6 years there, and we did really cool work. And for anybody who doesn't know, advertising agencies are the groups behind some of your favorite brand presentations, whether that is a commercial that you see on television, or a social post, or a brand activation that you might attend. I think Coachella is happening right now, and there are a ton out there. And even in your day to day interactions, sometimes the best brand commercials, you don't really notice are commercials. So that said, I learned the game for about 6 years at Translation, and then I moved on to Whiting and Kennedy, which is like, you know, the MIT of advertising agencies. It is a well-oiled machine. It produces legends who continue to push the industry forward. And um, the difference between Translation and Whiting and Kennedy is Translation is more like the school of hard knocks, and there are more rooms at Translation that look like this one that we've created here. And so I say that to say, and I was have been privileged and honored enough to contribute to some amazing work at both of those agencies, both of which I spent about 6 years a piece at. I learned a ton from them both, and I like to believe 14th and Market is a product of the best of both of those worlds. So if you took School of Hard Knocks and an MIT and put them together, or if you took a block in a boardroom and you made them intersect, 14th and Market would live right there. So we are a multi-platform storytelling company. We like to define ourselves that way because we're not limited to commercial advertising work. We do a ton of different types of work. We do experiential productions. Yes, we shoot commercials, and we have amazing partners like personalities that you might know, and athletes that you might know, or brands that you know and love, like Nike and Jordan and JD Sports. These partners help us, or we help those partners tell like some of the best stories, product stories or brand stories. And I co-founded 14th and Market with my wife, and it is an homage. The name itself is an homage to the city of Philadelphia, which we're both from. I'm not sure how much time you spent in Philadelphia, but right around Broad and Market is the center of the city, and there's a nice duality to the city that most communities can identify with. Like on one side, there is a gritty side, and there's also a very glamorous side. All of our favorite work, all of our favorite stories have that nice balance, grit and glam. We like to call it block and boardroom, and so that's what 14th and Market is. Really proud of what we built. Really proud of what we're building, and really proud of some of the work that we've presented to society and culture at large. I'm sure, hopefully, you're familiar with some of it, but we're looking forward to doing more of it. You know. And I think your second question was about Get On Put On, but
yes, before we move to Get On Put On, I love when I hear Tosin. When I hear of partners intertwined in business, that's another episode.
Yes, it is.
That I want to have a conversation about. With your wife present, by the way, I want to hear what her thoughts are on the union of going into business with your partner. So the reason why I chuckled at myself initially, I was going to say interesting relationships, because it doesn't just have to be husband and wife. It could be brother, sister. It could be mother, parent, child. When you've got that relationship, and then there's this business relationship, I'm always curious about how those things intersect, because some go off without a hitch, but all of them always have some hiccups along the way that I always want to hear about, because it's in the hiccups that you learn and not necessarily in all the smooth sailing. But that's another episode for another day with the Mrs. Present.
Yeah, for sure.
Get On, Put On. Tell us about Get On, Put On.
Yeah, like I mentioned, oldest of four, so that's all I know, and by Get On, Put On, I just mean like do your work, achieve honorably, push that door open, but don't forget to hold it open because there's people behind you that look like you, that come from where you come from, that might see the world your way or differently. But it is our moral, cultural, societal obligation to hold the door on, to use the opportunities that we're granted and given and we're earned and that we earn, use those as avenues and doorways to create new ones. And so that's what I mean by Get On, Put On. And I think I honestly believe that's my life purpose. I think I've been put in positions to exercise that, and I now use that philosophy to determine what opportunities excite me now. And so it's a nice filter. But I also am very proud of what it's garnered as well. Really proud of it.
So I keep calling you Mr. Culture, and at the rate Tosin is going, I don't even know if we're going to get into the cultural conversation that I want to have with you, because I keep letting you lead these conversations, whether you realize it or not, and you keep taking me down different pathways. So let me tell you the pathway you're taking me down right now without you knowing it.
Okay.
So the assumption we made is accurate then with regards to Get On, Put On. That means we were right about our assumption. Whew, okay. We're going to act as if we're not recording, and you and I are just sitting at a cafe and we're having an honest, unfiltered conversation.
Okay.
I am a dark-skinned Black woman. For anyone that isn't looking, and you're just listening. I am proudly Black. She's Black. She's proudly Black. And I've been having these conversations with people lately, JP, about us and how we don't support each other the way we should.
Mm.
So when I hear JP, I mean, it's catchy, it's cute, it's lovely. But within this week alone, I was having a conversation with two Fortune 500 executives.
Okay.
And we both acknowledged that sometimes when we hear a Black person say, "Can you believe I'm the only one?" it's tinged with a level of pride.
Yeah.
Of wanting to be the only one and not necessarily wanting anybody else to join you. I started off by reminding people that I'm a dark-skinned Black woman because I don't think the experience happens to all Black people equally. And I'm not talking about my skin tone now. I'm really just talking about my gender. I'm going to put that out there.
That's fair.
And of course, JP is all man. At least the JP I'm talking to is fully man.
Yeah.
I'm curious what your take is as a Black man hearing this Black woman say that the get on put on doesn't affect all of us or benefit all of us equitably.
Okay, so I would want to understand a little. I would love to understand your story a little bit more, so that like we don't not now, but to credibly maybe address or interrogate your perspective. I would love to know like what your experience has been. I mean, without making any assumptions, and then also the work that you do. Because I am a fan of the platform. I've heard these conversations, and now I understand a little bit more about the composition of your team. I also know that you spent a lot of time in the classroom. It is your job to collect information, to maybe even collect and leverage your accolade to create opportunity for the next generation. It is your job to do that. And so put on as an articulation of that sentiment or that concept. I think you're definitely doing that job now. I won't sit here and pretend that it is, an easy job or that job comes naturally to most people. What I will say though is like, it is not my it's not my my view, nor will you ever feel like a sense of pride from me about being the only anything in any room. I don't think that is an accomplishment, something that you should be waiting. Now the first is different, because when I hear that, what I see or what I feel is, a journey. There was a journey to kind of get to where you are. And then also opportunity on the other side of that, because now you get to kind of lay the groundwork for the next, and maybe even the better. But getting back to the gender, like I have two younger sisters, and they are my world. My wife is a beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, dark-skinned Black woman, and I know that I know the world that we live in isn't always friendly, but it is also my job to create opportunity for them, for the likes of my wife, for the likes of my sisters, and then my nieces. I have a favorite niece, just to be clear. I do want to put that on the record. I have a favorite niece, for Estelle to live in a world, that is better than however I found it, So I feel you, and I hate that the world. It sucks that the world is harsh, but we still have a job to do, and I'm going to subscribe to that job. you know.
JP, I appreciate anyone that doesn't run away from the tough conversation. I appreciate that. Even though this is probably not what you expected me to ask you,
I love that question.
you delved right into it, and so I say this while the recording is going on, that there's some people that I'm like, we've got to have them back, we've got to have another conversation, and we've got to delve into more issues. I'm a very self-confrontational human being. I
Okay.
believe that if I'm not asking myself the tough questions, I really exercising my critical thought, and so I do appreciate it when someone doesn't run away from the conversation, they actually answer the question. Before I go, because I told myself, Tosin, you were going to ask. I wanted this to be about culture. Tosin, actually, I'm not blaming myself. JP, you made this about everything else but
Yeah,
culture.
no,
I'm
it's my
blaming
bad.
you. I'm
Okay,
blaming
yeah.
you. I'm blaming you.
I'll
You,
take
you
it.
you gave such good content that it would have been irresponsible of me not to delve into some of those things that you gave. But
Yeah.
I've got to ask, this week, and by the way, this recording is happening in the second week of April. I think that's where we're in right now. And recently, Kanye West, I call it his rebranding tour, is what I call it. I think I'm not the only one that's calling it that, actually. So
No.
he had quite a resoundingly successful showing in California not too long ago, and he was on his way to the United Kingdom for one of their massive festivals to continue his rebranding tour. And for whatever because they're not really saying it's that, but when you saw some of the sponsors pulling out and blah 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 blah,
Mm-hmm.
and then he offered to have a conversation with the Jewish community in London, and I don't believe they took him up on his offer. The festival got cancelled. I also want to throw into the reality of conversations that your Charles Blows are having on, and I'm calling Charles Blow only because I've seen his commentary. He's not the only one that's commented on, I'm not ready to move on from the experiences that we've all observed and shared of Kanye West or Ye West over the past few years. As Mr. Culture, what's your take? And I want your take on cancel culture as applied to some, like Kanye, and not. I want your take on, should we just get over it? Should we just let him rebrand and be this person he wants to be, regardless of all the stuff that we've experienced? And we can list all those things. I'm going to be quiet. What's your take?
Okay, so we should ground this conversation first by saying we use culture a lot. In society, we use it a lot, and it can be misused sometimes.
Absolutely.
But I believe that culture is made up of artifacts, beliefs, customs, and dialect, ABCD, right? And our job is to collectively preserve, safeguard, create, and cultivate those four elements. And I think, those beliefs that Kanye West pre-rebrand kind of stepped on were deep, very rooted and grounded beliefs that offended a ton of people. Like disrespecting beliefs is counterculture. And so when you rub up against cultures like that, the communities that subscribe to those elements of culture, they get into like protection mode.
Yes.
The same way a mother gets into protection mode when she feels like her child is being attacked. They get into protection mode. And it takes a whole lot for that attacker to want to become a babysitter. And so like what can't happen though is trying to attach a rebrand to the same moment as a release that is beneficial to you. So like I have questions about the timing of this rebrand and the intention here. It doesn't feel sincere. Now I'm not saying that Kanye isn't apologetic. I'm sure that he is. He said a lot of things. He rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and he can sometimes be an erratic individual who is super passionate and very creative. I think he's a genius level creative of our generation, maybe one of the best, if not the best. But his actions hurt a lot of people's feelings, and feelings matter here. Feelings matter in culture.
Yeah.
And what you can't do is look opportunistic or advantageous when it comes to rectifying some of the mistakes that you made. And so, like, I would have loved to see this rebrand happen, aside from an album release, aside from a tour. The show looked beautiful. I wasn't in attendance. I couldn't make it out, but like, aside from the show, it would have been really, really nice to kind of, see this thing happen over time when we didn't think that you had something on the table for us commercially.
I appreciate that. I'm pivoting, not too hard, but I'm pivoting now to Rosonda Chili. I don't want to get her last name wrong, so I'm not going to say it, but TLC, Chili of TLC. That's my reaction. The sigh I just gave is my reaction. And it might not be what you think, right? I want your take. And I thank you so much for grounding our conversation of culture in the way that you just did, because it's multifaceted. Would you say that as a group, and guys, as you come at me, I understand that I'm using Black culture incorrectly. I understand that I'm using it in this moment. I'm using it summarily. I'm not using it for what it all means. I understand that as I make this statement. Do you think Black culture allows us to be politically diverse, JP? And I want you to share your viewpoints in light of the Chile situation.
Yeah, no, it doesn't really. I mean, it doesn't really. And it's because Tosin, we anchor it in a really limited and narrow social construct that is race, Black. When I went to Florida A&M, and that story that I told you earlier, that is when I learned, oh shit, being Black is not a monolith at all. I see the band over here. I see the noops over here. Yo to the noops. I see like the scholars over here. I see it all, and it's on like full display. And that was the first time I was able to really see that. And I think that is one of the primary benefits of attending an HBCU, learning critically that being Black is not a monolith. And then you have to go back out into the world. And then the world reminds you that you are Black, and you are Black first. And it's often misconstrued that you are exclusively Black. And so we take Black culture and we put all of the things that we associate with Black culture in the highest regard. And so we all believe that we should subscribe to placing equal amount of value on the same artifacts, the same customs, and the same dialect and language. Certain things you can't say, certain things you cannot do, certain things you cannot use, etc. And that, and that can be problematic. That said, I don't totally agree with Chile's actions, but I will also say there should be some space in our culture that allows for a non-monolithic approach or perspective.
Oh, JP, I really do mean this. We could talk for at least another hour just on that last topic alone, but I am very respectful of both of our times, yours more than mine. I know there are about 2.5 million things I could have brought up that I didn't. So please bless our audience with something that you're like, nah, Tosin, I've got to say this before I go.
Okay, I have to say this before I go. I think that with this platform, I love my HBCU ? You have done such an amazing job at having and facilitating very provocative conversations. And it's my hope that students don't just see the production of a podcast with this platform. They see the facilitation of really healthy and civil conversations, and then they're inspired to create more spaces to have more dynamic, maybe even more nuanced, uh, more safe conversations of the like in their own corners of our universe, because I really do believe more conversations we have, like the ones that you host and you facilitate, the better we are just as a community and as a culture at large. I think we get to participate in conversations like that. We get to move society forward in a really, really positive way. So it's my hope, and I know this might be a spin on your question. It's my hope that this is an inspiration to all of the viewing members and audience members out there, that this you can have your version of this, and this is pushing us forward. We need more like this. This is why I was super excited to kind of join you, and thank you so much for having me. But this is what we need to be doing. We need more spaces like this. 10 out of 10 space.
JP, listen, what can I say? I can't say much more other than I think it is because of the JPs who join me that make this worthwhile. That's the honest to God truth. Those who are brave enough, at least we're starting the bravery, right? Because you and I both know we could have gone places with some of these questions.
Absolutely.
And we didn't quite go there. So one day soon we will. JP, it is impossible for anyone to have joined us today, not see your face, not hear your voice, and decide, I'm sticking this through. I'm going to watch this whole thing. So guys, if that's you, please go ahead and like this episode. And I hope I've done my due diligence of having you subscribe to I Love My HBCU ? JP, before we leave, in one word, a short phrase, tell our audience why you, John J.P. Petty III, loves HBCUs.
I love HBCUs for all that they do for us, man. It's a family, it's a village. We need villages to thrive. We need more of that. That's why I love us.
JP, thank you so much. Everybody, 14th and Market. I love the name. I'm going to keep saying it.
This sounds great when you say it. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, folks.
Thank you. Have a lovely one. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to I Love My HBCU ? Let's keep the conversation going as we share our stories and encourage more practical support of HBCUs, whilst, of course, holding each other accountable. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for the latest episodes. Until next time, love and lift your HBCU.